disagrees with experiment, it's wrong. And that simple statement is the key to science. It doesn't make a difference how beautiful your guess is. It doesn't make a difference how smart you are who made the guess or what his name is. If it disagrees with experiment, it's wrong.
Yeah, look, they said that I couldn't do it, so I went and did it. W's only, you know I've been winning. Top of the world, the globe is spinning. If you know, I've been on a what? Mission. Go. Okay, let's get it. Got a little time on my hands like a wristwatch. I don't got time for the brakes and the pit stop. Race through the gridlock, take it like Chris Rock. Right to the chin, still win. Heavy metals like Slipknot. Got the driving, I got tunnel vision. I just hit my stride the way I run the business. I've been making paper like I'm Dunder Mifflin. See the end game, I got one division. Look, I don't ever bother with a critic. Hit him with a chronicle of Riddick. Boom, bottle full of Ritalin. I hit him with a little bit of riddle me this, riddle me that. My bad, fell asleep at the gas. No time to wait though. Elon Musk, I'm trying to bankroll. New Tesla just cause I say so. Electric whip like Ivan Van Gogh. I just did it. W's only, you know I've been winning. Top of the world, the globe is spinning. If you know, I've been on a mission. Okay, let's get it.
I've been on a mission like totally spice. I'm a baddie, she bad, but she totally nice. Nails are blue and her toes feel like white. They complete me, jar at the soul for my leg. He knew it for sure, but he...
The International Energy Agency says investment in renewable energy must rise from $1 trillion a year to $4 trillion by 2030. But with that ramp up comes the risk of a concentration in supply chains, with increasing reliance on nations like China, Chile, Argentina and Bolivia for essential minerals and metals. Just remember, these resources are needed to produce everyday items like catalytic converters, lithium-ion batteries used in electric cars and computer chips. But instead of looking elsewhere underground, what if we looked up at asteroids and the materials they might contain?
Japanese probe Hayabusa 2 recently became the first successful asteroid miner when it blasted a hole into the surface of asteroid Ryugu, collecting samples before returning to Earth. The costs of full-scale asteroid mining will be literally astronomical and would require some very far-thinking investors and customers. The technological challenges will also be daunting. Of the tens of millions of asteroids, how will you know which ones contain enough valuable resources to justify the cost and effort? When you're happy that you have a good one, how will you actually mine it? Mining machines need gravity, something that asteroids have very little of. A jackhammer would shoot itself into space, and a digger would be more likely to lift off than penetrate the ground.
The important thing to understand about space resources is the word space. These are resources that are in space and that we want to utilize in space. When we talk space resources, it's a variety of things that we can use from space. Some of them are concrete, like metals and oxygen and water, but some of them are intangible resources like solar energy, like microgravity, ultra-high vacuums. You do not travel from Denver to New York City and bring a big tank of gas to get there and also to return. You refuel your vehicle as you go along and you use the resources in your destination. Same thing in space. That idea has been around since the beginning of the space age in the 1960s. When the NASA realized that if they were going to have humans on the surface of the moon, they would probably need some resources there, for example, oxygen to breathe or water to drink. During the Apollo years, that was not necessary because they were going to be there for just a few hours and then come back. But after that, that idea has stayed, and now it's becoming more real and more important, especially if we're talking about staying there for weeks and months at a time. Most of the operations at the beginning will be done robotically. We won't have humans on the surface. So we will have to have either remotely controlled or fully autonomous machines. They will have to be small because we are only limited to a certain mass that we can get to the moon. With a reduced gravity level, your traction goes down a little bit. In terms of power, we have solar power. So we will have to learn how to capture that or provide other sources of energy such as nuclear power. Find the resources. It's expected to happen in the next 2 to 5 years. In fact, there are already payloads that are being planned for the next couple of years that will carry to the moon some instruments to identifying the resource. How much oxygen do we have? How much water it's on those permanently shadowed regions of the moon? Those will be followed in the next 5 years and beyond by demonstrations of technology. Now let's demonstrate the technology. We know where the resource is. Let's see how much oxygen we can extract, how we can store it. This will be done at a scale in which, at the same time that we're demonstrating the technology, it can start being used by humans that will be on the surface of the moon. And it coincides nicely with plans to have humans by 2024 and beyond. Large-scale operations, once we start setting plants that will collect oxygen and metals and water at scales in which we will need it for large production of propellants and the like, that's more in the 10 to 15 years. But
one of the major stumbling blocks to actually bringing this into reality is going to be policy. And so I was curious to know, is mining the moon even legal?
The Outer Space Treaty that was signed and ratified by more than 100 countries specifically stated a country cannot own any celestial body. But left out was the possibility to extract the resources without owning the planetary body. 2 countries have already taken a unilateral approach to this. First, the United States in 2015 with the Commercial Space Act. It makes it clear that any company that resides in the United States can go ahead and extract the resources. That was followed by Luxembourg in Europe. The rest of the world is also asking how is that everybody can get involved so that minimize conflicts. So all of those questions are now out there in terms of the legal, and they will have to be settled before we also go out and extract resources in a large scale. We may use them at the beginning if humans have to survive there for a few weeks. We may extract the oxygen. We actually been there. I mean, the United States have been there without claiming ownership of the moon, and so the same thing will happen at the beginning with some resources that will be essential for just survival. But when we start extracting it on a large scale, we will have to come up with a coherent
Paris climate goals, the international.
So, hope you guys enjoyed that. What's up to the people that are in the chat? What up, Kurd? What's up, Thor? What is up? I'm not even going to try to say that name, but anyone else listening that hasn't been that's not interacted in the chat. If you haven't noticed, the main turn this up. The main topic of the beginning, at least, of this this stream will be mining space, and basically all that goes into it, because probably if you go back in my archives about 4 or 5 years, I started hearing about these things. The professor that was talking in most of this, this is about the time that he was talking about it, maybe a couple years after it, after I'd done some stuff on it. Not that correlates anything. I'm just saying, you know, that's when I first started hearing and seeing things that started shaping towards that. One of the main things was, and again, remember, I do have a conspiratorial mind, so you're going to play the path game with me right now. When I first started hearing, you know, you guys love it, when I was a flat earther, one of the main things that, you know, did come up was what for me was Antarctica, wall, infinite plane. It was sky's the limits for me, basically, mainly because I didn't have a choice between what I really understood. So when that happened, I started looking into Antarctica. Then you start finding out about the Antarctic Treaty. That Antarctic Treaty, understandably, does run out. The Antarctic Treaty its main purpose is to keep all our grubby little fingers out of Antarctica, right? That it keeps us from mining, extracting any resources that we would want to extract out of Antarctica, because there's probably a lot of it. And because of that, they developed the treaty, and that treaty states that no country, this is very important, that no country can own any land on Antarctica or claim any land on Antarctica. And with that said, they cannot pull any renewables out of there, anything that would be for profit. It can only be for science. Now, because of that, that threw red flags. Obviously, for a conspiratorial mind, it's going to throw red flags. I think it's rightfully so. You let me know in the chat if you think it's rightfully so far, because when I'm looking at these things, it seems legit to me. I understand why the Antarctic Treaty was made, so that no one can extract and profit. Let's just say that. No one can profit from anything that they got out of the research or development that they do. Because understand this, every country that is in Antarctica does use Antarctica as a testing ground as well. And that's another important aspect of this. So when I was playing that video, the very last part, the very important part, was that he said, the guy asked him, hey, is it legal to mine asteroids or the moon? Specifically the moon, because that's what the guy was talking about. And he said, well, we've already been there. And understand this, that's when, once we put boots on the ground and on the moon, that's when the space treaty came up. Because what they didn't want was for America to go, hey, since we were on the fucking moon, we own the moon. So that space treaty kept what would essentially be a battle for ownership. If at any point, right? I'm not saying that it was going to be a war, but that's the reason for the space treaty, to make sure that that doesn't happen. The same reason they made the Antarctic Treaty, to make sure that doesn't happen there. You know, no one tries to make a monopoly of the land and pull all the resources for themselves and make money. That is what's not allowed. So the space treaty was also done to do the exact same thing. So what I wanted to do is I was going to pull up the space treaty. I don't have it up right now, so I'll be very quick. Space treaty. The Outer Space Treaty. I wonder if that's different. Oh, nope, it's not. So it says the treaty. Let me pull it up. I don't want anyone to think they're not going to see what I'm seeing. So we'll transition. There we go. So this is what we're looking at. I typed in space treaty. This is the treaty on principles governing the activities of states in the exploration and use of outer space, including the moon and its other celestial bodies. So that would be probes, satellites, rovers, you name it, anything you send from here into space. This treaty is what it's all about. So the Outer Space Treaty was considered to be the legal subcommittee in 1966 and agreed was reached in the General Assembly in the same year. Resolution 2222 X, or whatever. The treaty was largely based on the Declaration of Legal Principle governing the activities of states in the exploration and the use of outer space. Just for reference, when they say states, they don't mean like, Texas, California. They mean the agencies in which want to go into space, want to explore, want to make off of Earth's surface their exploration. So where was I? Exploration for use of outer space, which had been adopted by the General Assembly in the resolutions in 1962. In 1963, but added a few new revisions, the treaty was opened for the signature by three dispensary governments, the Russian Federation, the United Kingdom, and the United States of America in 1967, and entered into force in October 1967. The Outer Space Treaty provides the basic framework for international space law, including in the following principles. Their exploration and use of outer space shall be carried out in a benefit and in the interest of all countries, and shall be the province of all mankind. So that means basically that any research, anything found that would revolutionize basically or help mankind should be shared with everybody. And we're going to go into something that was detailed in here, the participants of, because this is also back, and we'll clarify some things because it's important for it. The second one is that outer space shall be free for exploration and use by all states. Outer space is not subject to national appropriation by claim by sovereignty. Yes, sovereignty. Basically, no one can claim it by means of use of occupation or by any other means. By other means. States shall not place nuclear weapons or weapons of mass destruction in orbit or celestial bodies or station them in outer space in order or any other manner. Okay, so understand this. If you go and look up all those wonderful things you've all heard about, Project Fishbowl, Starfish, all those ones where we set off stuff, look very closely at the abstracts of those documents because they all are under the guides of science, all under the guides of research. They were not seeing, and quote unquote, I repeat, they were not seeing what they were able to do with nuclear warheads at the time. No, that's not what it was. Okay, so the next one is the moon and other celestial bodies shall be used exclusively for the peaceful purposes. Astronauts shall be regarded as evolves that's weird, of mankind. States shall be responsible for nation space activities, whether carried out by governmental or non-governmental entities. So basically, that is if NASA, who is backed by the federal government, does it, or if so, SpaceX, who is contracted by the government, does it. This means that both entities have to acknowledge this. Let me see where we are. Okay, states shall be liable for damage caused by their space objects, and states shall be avoid harmful contamination of space and its celestial bodies. Okay, so that's obviously a very, 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 very layman, very explain it real quick version of that. And that's that's fine. That's more than enough. Let me go ahead and do this real quick. All right. So let's see the chat. Okay. So with that being said, if I was a betting man, I would assume that when someone says to me that we're going to mine the moon, what does that mean? I mean, if you're going to mine the moon, that means you're obviously going to want to use the resources. You're going to want to advance. You're going to want to. You're like, okay. So something that's understood is the way the market works right now. There are monopolies on it, right? Oil is backed by the dollar, etc. I mean, basically everything is backed by the dollar nowadays. But what's more important to understand is that there are profits to be made in every single market you can possibly ever think of when it comes to renewable and energy specifically. I don't think that if you can't do it here on Earth, right? It's not like we're mining up in Alaska for renewables so that the whole world can then just use it, right? It's whoever pays the right dollar, whoever gives them enough money is going to be the one that benefits from that project. And that's how it works. So if the United States is planning to go to the moon to mine for its resources for whatever reason it is, right? Because if you heard the guy, he stated pretty clearly that what happens is it's not only a source for renewables because we have finite, but what it also means is that when we start talking about further space travel, when we start talking about actually going to the moon, and here's the important part, going to the moon for long periods of time. Because when you go for long periods of time, you're going to need those resources that he was talking about, or forget what he was talking about. You're going to need the resources that you need specifically just to be there, right? You're going to need resources for oxygen, water, you name it, whatever their goal is. Specifically, what he was talking about was like fuel to get back. It would be, now this is playing the game, if we had bases on the moon that were adequate enough for landing and launching, specifically probably launching would be more important, it would be cheaper to be able to mine those resources there, right? Because again, mining resources there is going to be different than it is here. If it's fully animated, right? Like remote, animated remote doesn't really matter. I've already talked about, you heard the guy say they want to put plants that are basically fully autonomous functioning sorters. So it would be very easy. Just think about, I don't know if you guys know construction. If you think about like a scraper has a big gannon and it just scrapes half a foot, sometimes even a foot of dirt at a time off the surface of the earth. Just imagine that. All it would have to do is just scrape a foot at a time as it goes, take a certain amount of payload, process it, right? Separate the waste for the material it wants, and then it processes it to another machine. And that machine then does what it needs to extract the resource from the material itself. That's what we do on Earth. The only difference is that there, understandably, in the beginning, it would obviously not be the money making thing that you're thinking. I'm assuming it's probably going to be a waste of money for a long time. But what happens is once you make that type of project solid and you understand how you do it, and you can really start throwing money at it because you figured it out. Because at that point you start putting people out there that can actually monitor these things. And once that happens, just like here on Earth, because believe it or not, we have machines now where, or imagine this, back in the day, the fucking gold rush, before we had, like a process, when you had quicker processing, I don't know why I have this. Right after, just boom, the word I had was on my tongue, and it just disappeared. Product. When you have a productive line like we have now, where like if you're in construction and you want to go from point A to point B in a construction site, in a project, you do this part of it, you do the next part, you do the next part. Well, what we've done over the years, get this, fancy technology, is we've made that easier. In the gold rush, what it took was a man to get a shovel, and he had to shovel as much as he could in a day. And then the next day, he would sift through that pile he made, and he would fucking clean that. And then day 3, he would figure out what he got and then go get his money, right? Well, now we have a big-ass machine called a sleuth machine. I have one, I don't. What they do is this machine, what it does is say, hey, give me dirt. So now all you need is one guy with one machine, and all he needs is water, regardless, right? So he hooks up a pump. Now you don't even need a guy for that. So now all he has to do is load that machine all day, all fucking day long. And the next day, all he's got to do is clean out that mat. And now what he's got is probably 1,000 times more than they did in the 1940s. Now, that is just an example of, the modern, the caveman way of doing it to when you started advancing. But to do it, you have to do it. So going to the moon and starting this process seems rational to me. So when I got to that aspect of it, I started to realize, and I've talked about this probably 1,000 times over. One of the main things I've realized when it comes to mining in general, what you will always find, I don't care who you are, I don't care what you're trying to find, is every mining situation has a military involved. You can't name one one mining situation, mining project that is, I know you've seen those mining things on TV. I'm not talking about those. You know what I'm talking about. The diamond mines, the mines in Africa, the mines up in Canada, the big ones, these fucking $1 trillion companies that do these projects. All these things, they're all protected by militaries. Militaries fucking patrol those things for them. You go to Africa, all those mines that we get all our fucking precious stuff that we all love to buy every day, those are protected by their militaries. Any country you can think of like that is protected by a military. So now we're talking about space. So what does America do? America does something that makes it so they can make more money, because they got to police something else. Understand, I've said this again, the Space Force has been around for fucking decades on decades. You don't believe me? Go look it up yourselves. We've always had an agency responsible for eyes on space. Eyes on space, making sure no one's doing something stupid, making sure that if we want to do something, they're safe to do it, and there's nothing to worry about. Satellites, etc., etc., ICBMs, you name it. We've had a Space Force whose responsibility is to do exactly what the Space Force does right now. The only difference is now they got a fucking badge and an extra fucking branch in the military that has another fund of money. And I get it. I get it. It's not, to me, it's not even that bad of a thing. But you got to be honest about it. So with that being said, we go to the moon. And we put robots. And mind you, I want to show you guys something real quick. Another screen share. Because I thought this was something else when I was looking at it. So here we go. Okay, so that's the treaty. Hang on. When I talked about it a long time ago, it was under these guides. It was, am I on the right page? I am not. Hang on. It is not keeping up. There we go. Okay, so one of the things that I noticed, and this is what tipped me off. I don't want to say tipped me off. It sounds weird. One of the things that made me really start looking into this, because this was like 5-6 years ago, maybe, that I started, looking into this. This article was kind of one of the articles I saw. This was 5 years ago. When I started finding out that China specifically was going to Antarctica to start to use the polar ice to test drilling equipment. The reason that put red flags onto me, because again, guys, they've been talking about this for a long time. I'm not bringing anything up that no one knew. I'm not, uncovering something crazy. And with that, I was like, okay, so if you're in Antarctica and you're just testing drilling for ice, why would you do it that way? Why are you going to Antarctica to test stuff? Because I just want to make it very clear. Yes, China is involved in like a lot of research down there. It's not like they're just down there just going, hey, we're going to use our drill. Is that okay? But there is no reason. I looked it up. Please, if you guys want to look it up and find it, put it in my chat. China's not doing any ice core research right now. Literally, look it up. You can look it up. Antarctic laboratory database. It literally will tell you what every single camp and every single exploration that is going on down there, quote unquote allowed, is happening. There isn't anything that China is doing right now specifically that has anything to do with ice cores. So for me, I see why I think they're testing it for other reasons. So what did I do? I went and looked up. Of course, I don't have it on here. Here's another one for drilling. And this is obviously specifically ice cores. So I know what I was going to look for. So what I wanted to know is ice on asteroids. And I know we were talking about the moon, but asteroids also plays a big part in this, because if you guys remember in the little upload I put up just a little minute ago, I haven't put the upload up yet. I don't know if I'll be able to. We'll see if I get flagged or not. CNN, that DART was probably one of the most significant things that have happened in space, and I'm going to say more significant than James Webb. I said it. More significant than James fucking Webb. And here's why. Because, and this isn't even woo-woo. This is actually real. The federal government actually has things out for this shit. Understand this. If something were to be propelled, I don't want to say that. Let's just say we noticed something was coming in from outer space. I'm talking Pluto. From Pluto's area in the solar system, we noticed a big ass asteroid coming in, and our brightest minds went, "Oh fuck." Okay, guys, here's what's going to happen. We have a situation where we're going to get hit. Armageddon, right? That's actually a situation that our Space Force and NASA and SpaceX are talking about. What ifs, right? There is always going to be a what if, so they probably talk about it quite a bit. Now, with that being said, the reason why DART is so significant is, one, that problem not solved, but now we are past step one of an asteroid is coming our way. Do I think they'll ever tell us? I hope they don't. I hope they just get that shit done. Just kidding. I actually hope they do tell us. That also means in this whole big thing of mining, they can get to one now. Now, understand that they're not going to do it the same way they did it with DART. I'm not sure if you noticed with DART, but that big red screen meant impact. They would get to an asteroid the same way they would get to the moon. They would use an orbital path they'd be able to intersect with it, and then they would just release their bots or whatever the fuck they would be using, craft rover to scan it. They would just release it onto it. If it was a drill, it would just be imagine the drill that fucking in Armageddon, but instead of it being super fucking heavy, because remember it has to get off of Earth, what it would do would just be very light, but it would just have drills in the legs that would plant itself into the ice, or the surface is a better way of saying the asteroid, or for the asteroid. But when I typed in ice on asteroids, I got astronomers studied the asteroid 24 Themis detected water, ice and carbon-based organic compound on the surface of the asteroid. Let me see. So we know ice is there. Let me see if I can find something that says how thick the ice probably is. Ice on thickness. Okay, for this one, it shows the entire surface of an asteroid is coated with a layer of frost, no more than 1/10,000th of a millimeter thick. That doesn't sound right. What is the density of ice on asteroid? However, the internal structure of an asteroid has been largely unknown. A critical clue is provided by the density. For example, as an asteroid made of solid water ice will have density 1g. I don't know how to do all that. Solid rock will have densities around 3 to 5 g centimeters to 3. Structures have a lower density. Okay, so regardless of the surface, it's still going to have a pretty high density, more density than we have, in relation to our bedrock. Yeah, so I guess using 12 mile deep, or I think it's about 12 miles deep, ice cores in Antarctica would be great for testing. So I also found this one. So this is why I wanted to talk about this. Recently, not sure if you guys remember, But there are countries that are landing on the moon with rovers and shit now. Those rovers are stuff like this isn't a rover, just mind you, this is a satellite. But what this satellite's job is literally, its job is for mining on the moon. This is a Chinese satellite. This satellite is the NEO-X. You can look it up. Its category is resources, asteroid. I'm sorry, I said the moon earlier. This meant asteroid. Asteroid mining, space mining, fields, prospecting, prospective mining. Blah. It's in development. First launched 2021. This has been launched. The Origin Space, funded by Su Ming and Young Tung, whatever, I think it's the Chinese space agencies, described itself as China's first company dedicated to the exploration and utilization of space resources. It has reached cooperation agreements with a number of universities and research institutes, including in China Academic of Space Technology, CAT, or under the CASC. NEO-1, a scientific research and technology verified satellite developed by the ASES, Space Flight Technology Corp, for Shanghai-based Origin Space, a space resource utilization firm. The small satellite will test near-Earth asteroids, observe and prototype technology verified for space resources adequation in low Earth orbit. The mission will carry out as an active debris removal test. The mission will carry out an active debris removal test, releasing a small square spherical pattern target or added target, and subsequently attempt capturing using a net system. Okay, this is NEO-1. Jesus Christ. Okay, so I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys remember hearing about NEO, or when China had promoted this big push to build a satellite that could basically catch as much space debris that's out there as it could. Kind of like, Earth Day, where they all go out to the beach and clean up. That's what NEO-1 was specifically for. NEO-X space mining robot. Okay, the world's first satellite dedicated to mining technology for space resources. NEO-Q1 has verified a number of technologies that are also applicable to low Earth orbit space garbage. See, why would it do that? Space garbage removal. Okay. So it's technologies that are also applicable to it. So it basically does the same thing as NEO-1, garbage removal. But then it also does asteroid resource mining, extraterrestrial planet defense, and other fields. Okay, now we're getting a little bit more serious. The company also plans a moon mission named NEO-2, a future NEO-X spacecraft that would eventually attempt to capture a small asteroid. Okay, let's go ahead and look up NEO-2. China launches space mining test spacecraft on commercial rideshare mission. So that means it piggybacked off somebody. China launched a small space mining test spacecraft, the 8 other commercial satellites, into orbit on a Long March 6 rocket late Monday. That's what it's called. The Long March 6 lifted off Taiwan, or Tiwai, I don't know how to say it, Satellite Launch Center in North China. 3 main satellites. God, now you just make it a lot easier to say. What are they made for? Let's get to that part. One of them, it's optical remote sensing satellite with a high resolution panoramic camera. It is stated to be in orbit. Verification of the something laboratory based in something province. Second passenger included Neo 1, that's the space garbage one. The small satellites will test near-Earth asteroid observations and prototype technology, verify for space resources, cool space orbit. The mission will carry out an active debris removal, blah, blah, blah. We already read that. The goal is to verify and demonstrate multiple functions such as spacecraft orbital maneuver, simulated small celestial body capture. Okay, now it's starting to make more sense. Intelligent spacecraft and identification and control. Okay, so I get it now. They would, when they say, first of all, when they say capture an asteroid, where was it? Capture an asteroid. Oh, there it is. Simulated small celestial body capture. They're going to use, basically what they want to do is use, and this is why it's part of this quote-unquote space debris thing. They want to use it as a test, right? If you can, it's obviously an asteroid is huge and space debris is not. But the goal is to pinpoint a location, get the satellite there, and use something to attach itself, make one with an object. They're using it as a simulation because a lot of the space debris is orbiting Earth. So it's an opportunity to put the satellite in a orbit, and capture something. Capture meaning, make contact, attach itself with. And, space debris is a good tester, which makes a lot more sense to why China's doing a lot of stuff on that. That was actually a good reason to do research, huh? Origin Space is also aiming to launch the Yang Wang, the Look Up 1, small ultraviolet invisible space telescope before the end of the year, detecting near-Earth asteroids. The company also plans a moon mission named Neo 2, a future Neo X spacecraft that would eventually attempt to capture a small asteroid. I think the goal was to see if we could see if Neo 2... That's not going to work. Yeah, that'd be better. Okay, yeah. FYI, if you type in Neo 2 China, the first link is in Chinese. Okay, so guess this could be harder. What should I type in? Neo 2 space satellite. Okay, here we go. So NASA's description is Neo 2 is a Chinese commercial radar Earth observing satellite owned by China, survey and mapping. Okay, yeah. That kind of contradicts what Chinese sources say they're for. Who's lying? That's why NASA sucks as a source. Okay, so we got done with these. So we're back to here. So back to where were we? Okay, so the Yang, so we just read about that, the Yang Wang Celestiation Space Telescope. I guess that just is what would spot them. Yeah, that's crazy. If anybody wants to join the panel, that is in Discord. The description is in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to rant about other stuff, because that was what I wanted to talk about and at least get out there. I'm closing some windows. Hayabusa and OSIRIS-REx. Let's look that up. I don't know what those are yet. And I'm interested. So what is it? If I pulls up a fucking motorcycle, I'm gonna be pissed. Nope. Alright, so this is out of NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Spacecraft departs. Oh, very interesting. First mission to return a sample from a surface of a near-Earth object. The Japanese Hayabusa spacecraft. Wait, it's fucked up. I should probably show you guys what I'm fucking looking at. Not be a dick about it. My apologies. There we go. I don't have to be so selfish. There we go. Where was I? The Japanese Hayabusa spacecraft, which also carried a mini lander named Minor VA, was originally designed as a technology demonstration mission. Launch date was May 9th, 2003. Orbiter, asteroid, and comets passed. Okay, what happened? Not quite sure. Don't think it's going to be on that one, but let's check out the other one because that sounded pretty badass as well. OSIRIS-REx. This one. This is the okay. This is the good one. I don't know what that is. Okay, launched on September 8th, 2016. The origins, spectral infrared, blah blah. So it looks into the ground. Resource identification is security regolith explorer. I could just say at the beginning, OSIRIS-REx. Spacecraft traveled to a near-Earth asteroid named Bennu, formerly 1999 RQ-36. It collected a sample of the rock and dust from Bennu's surface on October 20th, 2020. The spacecraft delivered the sample to Earth on September 24th, 2023. So it took 3 years to get back, just over 3 years to get back, when it released a capsule with grains of Bennu's over Earth atmosphere. The capsule parachuted to the Department of Defense Utah's test and training range, where OSIRIS-REx team was awaiting to retrieve it. Scientists hope the Bennu sample reveal whether asteroids that collide with Earth billions of years ago, thereby delivered water and other ingredients for life of our planet. Okay, so basically, so that's what this is. Let's see how long it is. See if I can do it without the music. Ooh, almost. Has too much music, but we can watch it. I'll check and see if there's music.
OSIRIS-REx spent 2 years orbiting Bennu, mapping and studying its rugged terrain before carrying out its primary science objective. On October 20th, 2020, the spacecraft ventured to a small crater in the asteroid's northern hemisphere. It dodged jagged rocks and towering boulders and plunged its arm into the loose surface, excavating 6 tons of debris while collecting about 250 grams of material. OSIRIS-REx stowed its bounty and closed its sample return capsule. It bid farewell to Bennu in May 2021, embarking on a 1.2 billion mile cruise back to Earth. Now, 2 years and 4 months after leaving Bennu, OSIRIS-REx is closing in on the place where its journey began. On September 24th, the spacecraft will approach to nearly 63,000 miles from Earth. It will power up and release its sample return capsule at 4:42 a.m. Mountain Time. the capsule must be jettisoned within a narrow time frame and at just the right angle to hit its target, an area of roughly 250 square miles in Utah's West Desert. Once the capsule is away, OSIRIS-REx will fire its thrusters to avoid colliding with Earth. At 8:42 a.m., the capsule will streak into the atmosphere at a blistering 27,000 miles per hour. It will race across the western U.S. and begin to glow with heat, allowing infrared trackers on the ground to chart its progress. As it pushes deeper into the atmosphere, the capsule will rapidly decelerate, subjecting the Bennu samples to a punishing 32 Gs. About 2 minutes after entry, it will slow to Mach 1.4 and deploy its drogue parachute, stabilizing its descent. The capsule will enter special use airspace at 8:46 a.m., almost 10 miles above the Department of Defense Utah Test and Training Range. Radar stations will lock on and track it to within 30 feet of its landing site. At 8:50 a.m., the capsule will extract and deploy its main parachute 1 mile above the ground. It will make its final descent at a leisurely 11 miles per hour, like a marathon runner savoring a victory lap, before touching down in the desert soil at 8:55.
All right, that was actually pretty badass. See, the more you learn. Yeah, so basically, if you don't think they're fully going for the mining of asteroids, you're out your damn mind. And more importantly, if you don't think their mission is to mine the moon, then you're really out of your fucking minds. I don't know what to tell you at that point. Yeah, that's insane to me. What other asteroid type things? NASA's NEAR was the first spacecraft to orbit an asteroid, and also was the first to land on one. NEAR landing on Eros marked the first time a U.S. spacecraft was the first to land on a celestial body, having been beaten by Euro marked the first time. Okay, so U.S. spacecraft was the first to land on a celestial body, having been beaten by the Soviets in landing on the Moon, Mars, and Venus. So they really boast like they did everything first, but I think China's pretty much ahead of everyone for all this shit. What did they find in Bennu sample? So there's the capsule. Says, obviously I'm just scanning. Within the first 2 weeks, scientists performed quick look analysis of that initial material, collecting images and scanning electron microscopes, infrared measurements, X-rays, diffraction, and chemical element analysis, X-ray computed thermology. It was also used to produce a 3D computer model of one of the particles, highlighting its diverse interior. This early glimpse provided the evidence of abundant carbon and water in the sample. Abundant carbon and water in the sample. As we peer into the ancient secrets preserved within the dust and rocks of asteroid Bennu, we are unlocking a time capsule that offers an unprofound insight into the origins of our solar system, says Danica Loretta, OSIRIS-REx principal investigator, University of Arizona. The bounty of carbon-rich material and the abundant process of water-bearing clay materials are just the tip of the cosmic iceberg. Dun-dun-dun. These discoveries made possible through years of dedication, collaboration, and cutting-edge science propels us a journey to understand not only our celestial neighborhood, but also the potential for life's beginning. Oh wow, now they're just throwing other big, bold claims into that, aren't they? With each revelation of Bennu, we draw closer to unveiling the mysteries of our cosmic heritage. For the next 2 years, mission science teams will continue characterizing the samples and conduct analysis needed to meet the mission's science goals. NASA will preserve at least 70% of the sample at the Johnson for further research by scientists worldwide, including, I guess that's part of that space treaty part, including the future generations of scientists. Let me see. Ooh, why don't I just type that in? Why don't you just take me back to this site? In depth. I don't think you can go any. Oh, I guess that's it, huh? Ah, see? This is why it's important to read, people, 'cause that looks real. That looks like the orbiter that landed. And then people would be like, well, look at this orbiter. It's clearly didn't impact nothing. How do you fall from space and not have a crater? But then, you know, this is what, then you do this. Bam! Just bypass everything. But, you know, you can read down here. It says, you know, so if you guys see this at some point in the non-space realms, the sample capsule from NASA's OSIRIS-REx mission has seen shortly after touching down on the Department of Defense Utah site. That's just a sample capsule. That's just for media. The fuck is that? This series of images shows the SAM-CAM imager fields of view as the OSIRIS-REx spacecraft approached asteroid Bennu's surface and tapped it to collect a sample. The images were taken on October 2022. Wait, what? I wish they made a better image of this, because that just looks like it just slammed against it and then impact. I guess that's all I wanted, right? Just to be able to hit it, throw some debris up and get back. This sequence of images shows OSIRIS-REx completing the final step of the sample stowage process, closing its sample return capsule. The sample of asteroid Bennu is now ready for its journey to Earth. I wonder if this is a different one.
OSIRIS-REx continues the amazing legacy of exploring the solar system through sample return. We started out with the Apollo missions, where we had astronauts on the surface of the moon collecting a wide range of materials which provided unprecedented insights into the formation of our closest neighbor in space. We've seen comet dust return from the Stardust mission and asteroid particles returned by 2 Japanese missions, Hayabusa and Hayabusa 2. And OSIRIS-REx goes beyond those other missions, especially Stardust and the Hayabusa programs, by bringing back a lot of sample. We're bringing back, we estimate, about 250 grams of material, about the size of a coffee cup, full of this precious, pristine carbonaceous asteroid sample.
The OSIRIS-REx spacecraft is currently on its way back to Earth right now. On September 24th, 2023, it will release the sample return capsule, and that will land in the Utah desert. We will go out into the field, get the sample, take some soil samples and air samples for contamination knowledge, and then bring the sample return capsule to a temporary clean room at the Utah Test and Training Range.
There we will actually take off the heat shield and back shell and some other components for safety. And inside of that is what we call a sample canister. Sample return capsule is kind of like a nesting doll. We have these multiple layers of protection. And then that sample canister will have a nitrogen flow put on it, what we call a nitrogen purge. And with that nitrogen purge to protect the sample to keep any incursion of terrestrial atmosphere coming into that canister, it will be flown from Utah here to Houston, Texas.
The astromaterials curators at NASA Johnson are the best in the world. They are fantastic at preserving material. The samples will be in a special custom-built clean room. The samples themselves will be inside of a nitrogen-filled glove box. And then instead of that, they'll be stored in separate containers for allocation. The first samples will come out for the science team to describe what we've seen and produce a catalog within 6 months so that researchers around the world can write their own proposals to request sample.
Oh, I am going to be so excited to see that sample and see how much we actually brought back from asteroid Bennu. It's been a really exciting journey from launch back to sample return. That's a 7-year journey, 7-year process. And at that time, I will have been on the mission for about 7 years. And so it's going to be a wonderful culmination to this adventure of OSIRIS-REx.
I joined OSIRIS-REx and became part of the mission about 3 years ago. It's been really incredible for me because I watched this mission launch on my cell phone when I was a postdoc. I heard about it get selected before I applied for my PhD program, and I remember thinking like, oh, you know, 12 years, it's going to come back. I wonder where I'll be. And it's so amazing to be here and be part of it. Playing what feels like to me a very important role in it is really incredible.
I've been waiting since 2004 for an asteroid sample return mission. It's been the majority of my career getting ready for sample return. In some ways, a blink of an eye since launch happened. In other ways, it's been a very long time waiting for this precious sample to come back. It's going to be an emotional, joyous, gut-wrenching event all at the same time. I can't wait.
Pretty cool. See what else there is. You can see the edges. That's weird. Okay. What the fuck is this? Let's see. So this is OSIRIS Apex. What the fuck is it doing out here? What are you doing out there, buddy? Let's see what this one does. Guess it's just keeping an eye on the solar system. It shows its progression in our skies. That's actually pretty cool. I'll put the link in the chat for that if you want to play with that. So I guess this was like what they were. Maybe I read that wrong. Maybe it's called the sampler or the sample. I guess that is what it is. Well, how come there's no like a bigger impact? I get that it was. Like I get that it was parachuted, but still think. I'm going to still try to coax SC Montreal in here so we can talk about this stuff. The space web images. That's engineering. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys remember me telling you some guy named Mark something. I wish I could remember his name offhand. But he has own observatory. What's up, Brainery? Yeah, I know it did, but it's still. I feel like it still would have some kind of impact, Mark, more than just a nice, comfortable spot on the dirt. I mean, I've been parachuting, and even I would make people make a skid or a dent or something. Not a dent, but you know what I mean. I got to see the pillars, these ones down here. I got to see these in real time with his telescope. He found those. Those are pretty badass. I have some pictures. Where are those? Oh, here they are. Yeah, these. And these, obviously my shit doesn't do it justice. Wait, where aren't you? Oh, there we go. Sorry. There's a galaxy. And hang on, it's better. There we go. There we go. There's the pillars. There we go. That's, I guess, the Eagle pillar. Eagle one. There also seems to be a lot of test missions for the real events and stuff, so the images might be from those. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, but I thought that was cool. He does live streams. I'll find the link. I'll find the link right now, actually. Yeah, but I wanted to go over that kind of stuff. Let me see what is going on. See, Gary is over here talking a lot of crap. Never mind, the images with the black return thing are labeled as the real thing. Okay. Shit, for all I know, they just cleaned it up so it looked good when they were taking pictures. I mean, I have no idea. I'm not even saying it's fake. I just don't know. I get to see, like them taking pictures of the capsule prior to launching it, just so like they can basically reenact what will happen. But I mean, there's nothing in what I'm thinking that would discount that at all. Yes. Let's see, Gary. What are you measuring elevation points? They're in the chat. Let me see if I can get Gary in here. We'll see. We'll see how long we go. Like I said, I wasn't. The only relevance of this one was I really wanted to talk about that. There's some other actually topics I want to talk about. There's like a whole. I'll talk about that in a minute. Man, it's one of those things that really fucking just irks me. Let me find my notes. My notes tell me what to say. Oh, back to the space mine. Mining in space. That's going to be the interesting part, where the what I marked down, the ethics of it. This idea that they're planning to go to space and mine it. And every other country is just going to be like, oh, okay. I just don't see that happening. they use the moon as a reference. I don't see that. I think you got to understand the fucking huge difference between the landing on the moon with Apollo to going to the moon to extract resources. If it was that simple, why didn't they just do that with Antarctica? Why is there a treaty altogether to stop that from happening? There's a treaty that stops it from happening on the moon, but now they just think, well, we can just go to an asteroid or go to the moon and just do it. And you know, we've been there, we've been to the moon before. Who cares? That's why fucking people have so much doubt in this crap. The biggest issue is a lot of it is under the guides of science, but it's not. It's not in the fucking guides of science. I'm sorry, mining an asteroid is there's more profit than fucking science to that. Going to an asteroid, taking samples is science. Going to an asteroid to see what's on that asteroid so you can then put a rover and a drill on that fucking asteroid to mine and extract shit from that asteroid and bring it back or whatever is no longer fucking science. Otherwise, that means I'm going to go fucking do science and start fucking pulling gold out of fucking Alaska. That's how fucking ridiculous that is. What is this, Brainery? Ooh, motherfucker. You came in clutch. Let's look at this. But now I got a whole another motherfucking... Okay, so every time... If you look at my description, every time I've been playing these, I've been putting them in my chat because I know damn well I'm going to get flagged. That's just inevitable. But what happens is to keep your shit from getting pulled down completely, you got to actually like keep up and put these fucking links in the chat. And I don't want to get in trouble, so hang on, give me a second while I get this link in the chat so I don't get in too much trouble when they do tell me I'm in trouble. Fucking YouTube is so shady. I fucking hate them. I need to start streaming on Rumble. I don't know why I don't. Okay, so let's play that up. And I think I'm going to play the speed a little faster because that seemed to be smarter. I think that everyone's been doing that lately. So maybe, I don't know. Is it a good idea? Do I even fucking need to do that? I don't know. We'll see. Alright, so let me pull this up. I'll do there. So this is from Brainery. This is what I'm assuming is the return of the OSIRIS-REx.
With some key players in the mission. We'll also hear from James Straley, who will be tracking mission operations and bring.
Okay, so all right, let me. Yeah, this is not going to be what you guys think. Hang on. We will not be watching this whole thing.
Of the landing location, you can see the sample return capsule.
Yeah,
was at 8:52 a.m. Operations team, all looking at that high altitude view. Right in the middle there, just pointing around with the UV. They've been rehearsing.
Ah, there it is.
See that SRC on your news. Our helicopters are ready to go. It's for that first.
Why do their guys have to look so annoying?
Very exciting moment coming up in just a few seconds here. And in just a few moments, we're going to reach peak heating and peak deceleration. That's at 32 G-forces, punishing G-force on our SRC. A phenomenal view of that streaking SRC coming in across the sky. At this point, we've entered in over San Francisco, California, and are very quickly going to be approaching the Utah test and training range just a little bit further to the east. Entry was at...
EA milestone. SRC is experiencing maximum heating and maximum deceleration.
So you just heard right there, we're experiencing that 5,000 degree Fahrenheit maximum heating, burning scalding hot on that heat shield that is protecting our sample within, and maximum deceleration that is at 32 G-force, punishing deceleration from Earth's atmosphere, the drag forces that are acting on that SRC. Once again, as I mentioned, that sample is safe and sound within that SRC, that sample return capsule, as it comes in, burning through Earth's atmosphere. You can see our high altitude plane searching for that SRC. You can see it faintly on your screen there. our next milestone, we'll be expecting that drogue parachute deployment. That'll be at about 102,300 feet altitude. And as I mentioned before, that will stabilize our descent and slow us from hypersonic to subsonic speeds as we continue to target the Utah test and training range.
Expected EDO milestone, SRC commands drogue parachute deploy.
So we heard that command to deploy the drogue parachute. Waiting to see that visual confirmation, but that is at 102,300 feet. And a side note, at this time, 8:44 a.m. Mountain Time, the OSIRIS-REx spacecraft is at its closest approach to Earth. That will be on to its extended mission visiting the asteroid Apophis in the year 2029, continuing this incredible mission at another world. And in just a few moments, we should enter into special use airspace at approximately 8:46 a.m. That's going to be at 10 miles off the deck here at Utah Test and Training Range. Elevation. We continue to track with our high altitude camera here. As I mentioned, that sample is thermally isolated within that SRC, a very complex labyrinth network of piping and tubing leading into that sample canister within that just a few years ago was on the other side of the solar system from us sampling an asteroid Bennu. The team has incredible precision on this mission as well. Just a few days ago, on the 17th of September, they did their final trajectory correction maneuver, TCM-12. This corrected our velocity by 3 millimeters per second. We see.
EDO milestone, we have confirmed parachute deployment.
Wow, and after an exhilarating streak across Earth's atmosphere, we have parachute deployment. You can see just a sigh of relief from the team. I can hear some applause here. There is that orange. Our next milestone, we should be expecting main parachute deployment at around 8:49. Move the heat shield, protecting the SRC and its precious cargo within the entire descent for the entry, descent, and landing. Remove the back shell, and then extract from this perspective on that desert terrain. It's a wide open expanse here, and the team has this positional info, and they'll be relaying that to our helicopter teams to begin those recovery operations. Touchdown time than expected here. So the SRC battery is comprised of lift, environmental, and safety sweep. We have our on-scene commander potentially walking over. This is once again our high-altitude WB-57 shot of our helicopters. One of our helicopters here orbiting around the landing location. You can see our SRC at the bottom left of your screen, and its parachute that helped us get the last leg of the journey down. It deployed a little bit higher than we expected, 20,000 feet elevation. Original expectation was at about 5,000 feet, and this brought us down the last leg of the journey after a punishing of our recovery crew members. There are several nozzles of valves around the SRC, and so once Victoria has the clear to approach, she'll actually open up some of those valves and insert a gas reading device within to actually take some temperatures. And you can see off to the left of your screen, Stu Wiley is actually safing and stowing away that parachute that helped take us the last leg of the journey. It's great news that disconnected from the SRC. That allowed our SRC to rest as it is now here on the surface of the Utah Test and Training Range. It appears with minimal dragging.
Recovery operations. Oscar is safing and storing the main parachute.
So Stu is going to get that parachute stowed, placed away, as Victoria is front and center on your screen, beginning to take some of those gas readings to make sure that we are not outgassing any kind of noxious chemicals that could be present from that battery heating up within the SRC. And Stu is walking back to the team with that parachute. So the SRC battery is comprised of lithium disulfide, and as such, the possibility of toxic vapors exists if the battery packaging has been damaged during entry or landing. Discharging could cause a potential presence of hydrogen sulfide from those batteries heating up, or carbon monoxide.
OSIRIS-REx
from the leftovers of the formation of the Earth. Look at the chemistry in detail as you can only do on the ground, using instruments that are sometimes...
It also got a big assist from Earth's gravity in 1 million known asteroids in our solar system. Why Bennu? First, as a near-Earth asteroid, Bennu is easy to reach. It takes about 14 months to orbit the Sun and comes close to Earth once every 6 years. To get there, OSIRIS-REx was launched in 2016 on an Atlas V rocket with a single booster and a Centaur upper stage. It also got a big assist from Earth's gravity in 2017, allowing it to match Bennu's orbital tilt. The second reason that Bennu was chosen was its size and spin rate. Bennu measures about half a kilometer in diameter and rotates on its axis once every 4.3 hours, which is actually pretty slow compared to many smaller asteroids. This allowed OSIRIS-REx to map Bennu's surface up close, and to match its velocity, briefly touch down, and collect a sample. Before OSIRIS-REx arrived, scientists thought that Bennu's slow rotation meant a low risk of flinging away most of its sampleable material. But shortly after arrival, Bennu was caught on camera ejecting hundreds of pebbles. It turns out that Bennu regularly sheds small particles, but it still had plenty of loose material left on its surface for sample collection. The third reason for choosing Bennu was its composition. We don't know what ingredients were present during the formation of life on Earth, but primitive asteroids like Bennu serve as time capsules, preserving material from the dawn of the solar system. Spectrometers on OSIRIS-REx confirm that Bennu is rich in carbon-based molecules, including organics that are the stuff of life. When the Bennu sample is analyzed, it will help scientists to better understand the formation of the solar system and our own origins. So why?
I think that's pretty damn badass. I know there's a whole faction of people that aren't going to agree with it, but hey, that is definitely a them problem. All right, let me get my screen back up. No worries, no worries. The link is in the description, but hey, you know. No, it's all good. I'm going to probably get the fuck out of here. Especially because it's probably a good cue when you're done with the topic. Thank you for the links, Brainery. All the links of all the videos for anyone listening, I put in the description so you can watch all of them yourself in full. Because a lot of, mainly everything was just clips and stuff of everything. The stuff from the very beginning, I clipped from I think about 3 or 4 different links that are in the description. Yeah, I saw. I see what you're saying. At 40 to 47. Oh yeah, we watched this part. Yeah, I saw the land. That part was seen. Yeah, no worries, no worries. Yeah, watch back. I talked about, you know, the issues that I think with it with the space treaties and everything. I'm not probably going to go into it more. Like literally, I found that like I said, I have live streams where I've talked about this stuff before, like the beginning aspects of it years ago. But last night I was going through a bunch of stuff, found this super badass UFO website. Sorry, and then got into them going to asteroids and et cetera, and literally put this together this morning, or partly this morning. Then when I got home around noon, so that's what, you know, the late start was about. But it's a good start to this conversation because the space race, in my opinion, is alive and breathing, and where it was a military protecting everything, you know, for your own country or not. It was done from here, or what you can get into the sky, close enough to space to protect wherever you are in this world. Now it's a situation where our military needs to be in space. And if we have a space military, just because China hasn't announced, Japan, Russia hasn't announced, doesn't mean they don't have their own entities in which are going to be doing the exact same things that our Space Force is going to end up having to do. I guarantee the first asteroid mining mission that is happening, like, you know, we're actually going to abstract this mineral from said asteroid. I guarantee you're going to see a lot of SpaceX behind it. You're going to see a lot of conversation about whether or not, and this is hypothetical, whether or not, say, we land on an asteroid that is enriched with something that we want, and China sees it as well. Who's going to stop China from landing on? Because remember, there's nothing that says this can't happen. What's going to stop China from landing on that same asteroid with a better machine and taking more of that resource? Something's going to happen, right? It's not like fucking you see mining, these $1 trillion mining places where other countries are like, hey, you're mining here, I'm going to mine right next door, or I'm going to fuck it, I'm just going to join you because that's where all the resources are. That's what mining a asteroid situation is going to be like. We're going to see that situation, and I don't understand how it's even part of the conversation if there's already a space treaty. And again, let me make this very fucking clear, because this is what happens in Antarctica. This what happens in a lot of these fucking treaties now, where specifically, and this is where the angry side comes out, specifically when it comes to weather modification, and all those that encompass that. Because there's something called the NMOD. NMOD is a treaty that makes it so you can't use weather modification tactics or anything like that for gain, right? You can't use it for war. You can't do it for monetary gain, which means you can't like wipe out somebody because of, like Joe Schmo can't hire cloud seeding to wipe out his competitors around him and make sure he gets on all the rain. He can't do that. It's illegal. But they can sure as hell do all the fucking science they want. Whether that science affects anybody is under scientific research, and it's not really something you can fucking go to jail for or be fucking really punished for. You get fined all the time. There's been universities that have done geoengineering research projects without approval, and they just get slaps on the wrist and fined. It's pretty fucking sad on that aspect of it. I think it's the aspect of this conversation that people need to start looking at. All these things look really cool. I even admitted, I said that fucking almost everything I was watching was fucking amazing. And I don't give a fuck what any denier says. That shit is badass and fucking takes a lot of smarts. The problem is that science, and this is just modern humanism, right? Science leads to monetary gain. It's what we see for everything. Show me a science that doesn't have some kind of monetary gain for some side or some agency or some investors. It's ridiculous to think differently. It's very naive to think differently, right? I think. Pretty sure. I think you can constitute that as fucking naive as shit. All right, I can get rid of that page. I think I'm done with my rant. I'm not really sure. As I slowly see what I need and don't need on my screen, I will decide. You're right, Kurt. And they said that. So Kurt said, the treaty doesn't prohibit mining for use of resource in space. You are 100% correct. Actually, no, you're wrong. You're actually wrong. Let me pull it. I'm happy you said something, because something that you got to understand is it does actually say that. So go back to the space treaty. I'm just going to go to the Wikipedia one real quick, because you just really need an outline. Okay. Okay. So this is out of the space treaty. Put the link in the chat from what I'm reading from. So we are on the same page. Okay, it says key provisions of the Outer Space Treaty include prohibiting nuclear weapons in space, limiting the use of the moon and all the celestial bodies to peaceful processes, establishing that space shall be freely explored and used by all nations, and precluding any country from claiming sovereignty over outer space or any celestial body. Although it forbids establishing military bases, testing weapons, and conducting military maneuverings on celestial bodies, the treaty does not ban all military activities in space, nor the establishment of military space forces or the placement of conventional weapons in space. From 1968 to 1984, the OST gave birth to the 4 additional agreements, rules, and achievements on the moon. Liability for damages caused by spacecraft, the safe return of fallen astronauts, and that's wow. Fuck, that's fucking creepy. 84 is when they decided they had to bring back fallen astronauts. And the restoration of space vehicles. OTS provides that any practical use was for the most important link in the chain of international legal agreements for space from 1950s to the 1980s. OST was at the heart of a network of interspace treaties, and the strategic powered negotiations have achieved best available conditions for nuclear weapon world security. The OST also declares that space is an area of free use and exploration by all and shall be preserved of all mankind. Drawing heavily for the Antarctic Treaty, Outer Space Treaty likewise features a regulation concern activities in preventing unrestricted competition that would lead to conflict. Yet again, very important, because this is what I read, and this is what made me go, what the fuck? Drawing heavy from the Antarctic Treaty in 1961, the Outer Space Treaty likewise features the regulating certain activities and preventing unrestricted competition that could lead to conflict. Consequently, it is largely silent or ambiguous on newly developed space activities such as lunar and asteroid mining. Nevertheless, the Outer Space Treaty is the first and most fundamental legal instrument of space law, as it boundaries penalties of promoting the civil and peaceful use of space continues to underpin the multiple endeavors in space, such as the International Space Station and Artemis program. So yeah, one is, yeah, you can't do this because that instantly spawns competition. I don't care what you say, right? Resources, that's competition. There's competition at resources. There's no way around even arguing that part. And yes, I did see the caveat for space mining, but that sounds like a loose way of saying we haven't figured that shit out yet, but maybe when it happens we will. But then it comes to the part where we get to what happens when the United States finds the most enriched fucking asteroid in space that we can get to, and China goes, why can't we get there first? And then they fucking both touch down 10 feet from each other, and then what are they going to do? Who's going to decide who has to leave? Because I guarantee you, going to that asteroid, because these asteroids aren't that fucking big, going to that asteroid and mining it was a plan to do solo. If you have to share it, you have now made that mission fucking pointless. So how do you figure that shit out? How do you now regulate why the fuck U.S. shot the Chinese fucking satellite that was on its way to that asteroid down, vice versa? Now you have fucking conflict. Now you have a reason to have a fucking space military protecting space for your country, even though they're protecting something that no one can fucking claim. How does that even make sense? And I get now, no, it's not now, I get why people question these agencies. Because what I read now, what I've read, what I watched, all the things above, everything that goes into going into this project, this endeavor, cost billions of fucking dollars. Billions. Before it touches fucking down. Before they know it will work for sure. They're spending fucking billions. And you don't think they want to do something with that? You don't think their plan is already to go to an asteroid, if not already, and actually mine that shit? They're putting satellites to look at the composition of asteroids. I get it. They want to know what are inside asteroids. Yeah, but then they don't fucking label space mining satellite on it either. So until I see the treaty that explains how they're going to fucking work that shit out, I see a real big conflict. You can mine anything if you use it in space exploration, mining fuel or materials for building new spaceships. It sounds like conflict of interest. And it sounds like independent personal endeavors between countries or in agencies that isn't scientific. It's just under the guise of being scientific. Show me a country that's willing to lose trillions for no fucking reason. There's no way in hell they're doing all that for the guides of science. There's a difference between mining a fucking asteroid for material indoor fuel, then just, what's the composition of this asteroid? What's 20 miles deep into the moon? That's science. I get that. Anyway, even if they are forced to do research, they just go to the Japanese wholesale route doing research on whales and just happen to eat the leftovers. Yes, they want to bring it to Earth, but there will be mean again, and what I'm talking about, and here's the sick part, I'm talking about putting a base on the moon and using these asteroids to then supply the moon with what's needed to then use rockets to do whatever you want. Because remember, going to the moon isn't just going to the moon. Going to the moon now means getting to Mars. Going to the moon now means getting to asteroids. Going to the moon now means fucking going further out faster. Going to the moon is not the same thing as it was in the fucking 60s, people. When Apollo did all that shit, that was fucking amazing, but that was to see if we could do it. Now, and here's the best part. We don't even fucking have to do it now. Now we just send fucking robots and shit out there to fucking do it. Why not let them? Less risk. Maintenance, I get that. There's got to be people there, but, by that time, we'll know if we can stay there. Remember that guy said in the beginning? He was like, Apollo was easy. 3 days. But now we're talking about the long term. There's a long-term goal to stay in space for more than fucking 3 days. And to do so, you need fucking resources. And again, bringing it back to Earth, that's only if you find enough resources to make it worth bringing it back to Earth. I don't think for anything they're going to find resources on the moon or find resources on an asteroid to bring back here. I think 100% of those resources will be in the quote-unquote research science they're doing, would be how much of this shit can we get back to the moon? How much of this can we get from the moon, and how much do we have to supplement from asteroids that are closest to it? Then that kind of bring some cadence into the fucking whole, what do you call it? The biggest asteroid in space is going to hit Earth, and we need to get the fuck off it now. I've heard rumors like that, right? Mars being the go-to. Mars is the closest thing to us as we can get, right? I think. So if that were to happen, Armageddon, and we couldn't stop it, and we had a place to go, mind you, none of us are going. Fucking tomorrow they were like, an asteroid is going and we have spots for 1 million people. The 1 million people have been picked 20 years ago. Their kids and their grandkids that could possibly go are on a fucking list already too. We're not one of them. I promise you. I haven't gotten anything from it, and trust me, it's out there. I know it is. Believe it or not, if you go online, there are actually private companies that have space fucking pods that if something like that happens, you're by yourself, can get shot into fucking space. I don't know what the fuck you would do that for, but it's true. It is very fucking true. I don't know anything behind it. I just heard of it. So yeah, that's fucking weird. What's up, Sean? Sean Smith. He said, I think the bigger thing would be to destroy that huge asteroid, but to put it into Earth's gravitational pull in order to mine its resources. Exactly. Well, it depends. It depends on how big it is, right? If it's too big, that's not going to be possible. Like the Armageddon one, for instance, was so big that you couldn't take it out of that orbital path. Or its trajectory. What they had to do is they had to blow it up so it went into pieces it would just go past Earth, right? And the small stuff. If it was small enough to do that, or better yet, any asteroid that they decide to mine, they're going to do that with. Remember, these things are not big. The asteroid the DART hit and that one we were watching hit was like the size of the Empire State Building. And at that point, yeah, I don't see any problem with them fucking sending 6 fucking rovers or whatever the fuck you call them with fucking blast packs on them and just get it to twist a little bit and get it closer a little bit? Absolutely. If we start mining one, we want it to stay somewhere and or be closer. Absolutely. That's all part of it. That intersection with DART, right, that we saw that in the video thing I showed, that meant we can get to it. That's it. Now that we can get to it, sky's the fucking limit. Kurt says there are tons of platinum and uranium on asteroids, but it has to be refined in the space to make profit. Yeah. Where would you, and guess where you would do that? You would do it in a place that you know you can get to and from. Dun, 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 the moon. If the moon became your space base for everything, you now need resources at the moon. Hence, mining the moon. What can we get out of the moon? And if we can get stuff out of the moon, put it this way, if they start mining the moon, let's just pretend fucking we live in Care Bear fucking city now, right? And every fucking Thursday night, we all line up and we do the Care Bear stare. We'll pretend that for a second. And China, the United States, and Russia all fucking have their little swaths of the moon, and they're going to start fucking mining it. If that were the case, everything they mine on that moon would go to building a population on the moon. Mind you, if they start, the second we've launched our first rocket to Mars from the moon, we will already, when I say we, I will say there will be a small research population on the moon. The equivalent to Antarctica by that point. If that's possible, that is somewhere we could survive because they will have the technology to mine the moon and do that, which means then people, remember this, the first, and this is something you guys should remember, and there's no arguing this, the first people that go to Mars will not be Earthlings. You hear me? They will not be Earthlings. They will not come from Earth and land on Mars. They will go to the moon, and from the moon, they will go to Mars. They will come from the moon to Mars. They will not go to Earth or to Mars from Earth. I guess that still be Earthling, but you guys see what I fucking mean. And for that matter, with the time scale that it could take to be ready to do that, you could possibly say the first person to go to Mars may not be an Earthling. They could be from the moon. A mooner. They could be a mooner. All right, guys. I think I have worn out my rant. Welcome. Let me get this. Yeah, there's going to be more about this. I'm going to do a lot more research. I think it's badass. I think, I said, there's so much more to talk about because the implications of every step of what we're talking about means so much more than just go there, get that, bring it home. It does actually widen the branch of everything. So, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I think I've talked enough. It'll be a nice, short, sweet one, topic-based. It's always good. Absolutely brainery. Anytime. I'm going to live stream for sure tomorrow morning, but a lot earlier. That will be open panel. I already know. I've already talked to a few people, so there will be people here. Everyone's welcome to join. I'm going to make sure the Discord link in my description is okay, because remember, if you want to join the panel, typically the Discord link is in the chat, and that will take you here. Then I would get you verified, and then you get on the panel. Easy peasy. I'm going to update that link because I'm pretty sure it's supposed to stay good, but sometimes you got to check that stuff. Otherwise, I may use a different panel method. May not. The only reason I would use a different panel method is because I've been having some monitor issues, but I think I fixed it, and I've had 0 issues for the past day and a half now. Sean, deep chambers built into the moon will become habitats. They probably will start as storage pods for robots who are mining before mankind lives. Absolutely, absolutely, Sean. All right, guys, I'm gonna get the fuck out of here. I appreciate everyone that was here. Appreciate you guys that were interactive in the chat. Make sure you guys hit that like button and share the fucking link. If you want to talk later, hang out, BS about what I've been BSing about, I'll be over at the MMM, the Missile Mass Media Discord server, and or everywhere else, but mainly there. Ooh, tomorrow, I know what I want to talk about. I want to talk about Duffy. Man, has that taken a turn. Duffy's fucking swinging swords and shit now. Fucking nunchucks. If you don't know what I'm talking about, do some research. Otherwise, tomorrow morning you will see, because there's some crazy shit going on with Flat Earth and Duffy now. And Duffy is not just doing Duffy's not just doing interviews anymore. Duffy's swinging bolos. He's doing backflips and ninja squirrels and shit. You'll see. It's pretty badass. All right, guys. Thank you for being here. Peace.
Disagrees with experiment, it's wrong. And that simple statement is the key to science. It doesn't make a difference how beautiful your guess is. It doesn't make a difference how smart you are who made the guess or what his name is. If it disagrees with experiment, it's wrong.
Yeah, look, they said that I couldn't do it, so I went and did it. W's only, you know I've been winning. Top of the world, the globe is spinning. If you know, you know, I've been on a what? Mission. Go. Okay, let's get it. Got a little time on my hands like a wristwatch. I don't got time for the brakes and a pit stop. Race through the gridlock, take it like Chris Rock. Right to the chin, still win. Heavy metals like Slipknot. Got the driving, I got tunnel vision. I just hit my stride the way I run the business. I've been making paper like I'm Dunder Mifflin. See the end game, I got one division. Look, I don't ever bother with a critic. Hit him with a chronicle of Riddick. Boom, bottle full of Ritalin. I hit him with a little bit of riddle me this, riddle me that. My bad, fell asleep at the gas. No time to wait though. Elon Musk, I'm trying to bankroll. New Tesla just cause I say so. Electric whip like Ivan Van Gogh. I just did it. W's only, you know I've been winning. Top of the world, the globe is spinning. If you know, you know, I've been on a mission. Okay, let's get it.
I've been on a mission like totally spice. I'm bad she bad, but she totally nice. Nails are blue and her toes feel like white. They complete me, met jou, dat is zo voor mijn lijk. Je knew it for sure, but